Hi, everybody. It's episode 427 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It's Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. I am Chris, and with me this week is Just Walnut.
Just before you said hi, everyone, I almost was like, hi, Cheese, how are you? Because he came over to get pets. So I almost ruined the entire intro.
It wouldn't be the first time or the last time.
No.
But yeah, Drew is off, I don't know, looking at baseball bats or something, I think he said.
Gallivanting around town somewhere in Louisville, I guess. I don't know.
Is he in Louisville, or is he...
don't
He was
know.
at the Louisville Museum, which I think that is like the baseball bat museum. Yeah, the Louisville Slugger Museum right now. I forget where...
Yeah, it's...
I don't know where that's at, so I'm assuming Louisville.
I assume Louisville Slugger was made in Louisville, but I don't know. I have no idea where he's at. I don't pay attention to his life. Him and Eric, they're always everywhere. So, I just let them do their thing.
That's true. Oh, yep. He is in Indiana and Kentucky this week for work, so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a new episode. It's a new week. It's cold today.
Oh, it's been nice, but like friggin'... So I get my worst allergies during the fall. It's like the mold and stuff that really fucks with me.
Yeah, I get them pretty bad this time of year too, and
it's just I had a sinus headache on Friday, which like knocked me a day off on my streaming schedule for Resident Evil.
And so that's why you're behind, because you had a headache.
No, it fucking killed me, dude. Like
you had a headache, and then you got grumpy because Windows PC games are dumb.
Well, it's also Resident Evil 4 took a lot longer than I had expected.
It's a surprisingly long game.
Well, yeah. One of the sessions, we'll get into this, but one of the sessions, I believe I played for about 5 hours, and most of that was in one area. It was just really long.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a much longer game, I think, than people realize. Like, especially when you're coming off of like 2 and 3, where like 3 is like a 4-hour game.
I think I was sub 4 hours for 3 for my completion time.
But you also you just played that one like 2 years ago, right? So it was at least I'm sure it wasn't fresh, but it was still one of those you kind of knew where to go. Yeah,
well, the thing about Resident Evil 3, 4, 5, and 6 they are very, very linear and not puzzly at all. Yeah. It's just go forward.
So I just looked it up real quick. So Resident Evil, the 2002 GameCube remake. That one is a main story, 11 hours.
Yep.
Resident
11
Evil,
and a half, yeah.
Resident Evil 2, 2019 remake, 8.5 hours main story.
14. You gotta go with the main and bonuses because you can beat that in 8 hours.
Oh, is that just one?
That's just
one
as
path?
Far as I can tell. I haven't really done research into it. I think that's just one scenario. That's one credit roll. Whereas to get the full story, you need to get both because you need to do the true ending and everything. So you need that's about 14 hours. But
okay,
that took me about 12.
And then you have Resident Evil 3 remake from 2020, 6 hours. And then
it took me sub 4.
And so remember too, this is average.
Yeah.
Whereas Resident Evil 4 main story, 15.5 hours.
It took me about 12,
longer than every other Resident Evil up to that point, including Zero, which Zero is fairly short as well.
Zero's about 9 or 10 hours, I think. If I remember correctly.
Hey, at least it's not the 27.5 hours you're probably going to spend in Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, that's I'm not looking forward to that.
But hey, Village only 9.5.
Yeah, Village and 7 are both roughly 9.5. And I should be able to get those done in about 2 or 3 streams each, which I'm excited for. Especially 7, I should be able to get that done pretty quickly since I did that about a year or 2 ago. So it might still be fresh in my memory.
Yeah, I'm
Village
sure
I have not played yet. So
it might be one of those it's not fresh until you get into it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh right, that, you die in the thing, and then you're like, oh that's right, this is how I get through this thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That happens to me a lot. Playing something, you're like, I don't remember how to fucking do this.
I think a lot of what takes along with 7, and it's probably going to be the same with 8, is the wonder and the mystery of walking around oh my god, what's going on? What is this? What's that? And they did go back to the roots of a little bit more spookiness, whereas literally Resident Evil 4 had a little bit wasn't really super horror, but was very survival horror, where with the lack of ammo. So it was more survival than it was horror, and then but it was very straightforward, not a lot of puzzles. Same with 5, same with 6. 5 and 6 are full on action games that ammo fucking doesn't matter. I'm running around right now in Resident Evil 4. Sheva has 69 sniper rifle ammo.
Yeah,
she had 2 full stacks of sniper ammo.
Yeah, 4 and 5 were just here's resources. Good luck.
Yeah. But we'll get into that. We've got a whole bunch of other show to talk about, unless we just want to get into Resident Evil now.
No, there's other stuff fine. First. Yeah. What's on the agenda, Rich?
On the agenda, so apparently there was some Silent Hill announcements, shockingly.
Oh, so somebody didn't watch the stream.
I didn't know there was a stream.
I said it yesterday.
You think I pay attention to what you say?
You should.
What was that?
Exactly.
Huh?
Yeah.
Fucking then we're gonna talk about Resident Evil 4 a little bit more in depth, as well as a little bit of 5, since I'm close to beating it. Might as well just talk about it now. Then is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot a game, I guess?
Yeah.
Is that, how old is that one?
Like a year? 2?
No, I don't remember. Then there was a bunch of anime talk. Bleach, Chainsaw Man, My Hero. Cobb's gonna talk about Gundam. All that. And then Halloween Ends, the most recent Halloween movie that I hear was not good, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And then She-Hulk and the finale of She-Hulk. So a pretty loaded show, but also a pretty light show at the same time. Depends on how we go with things.
Yeah. So, Silent Hill. It's been a while since there's been a game. It's been about 21 years since there was a good game.
Yep.
Give or take.
Is Norman Reedus in this event?
No.
Then I don't care.
It's not PT, and it's not Silent Hills with an S.
But Norman Reedus should be in everything.
You know what? I do not dislike Norman Reedus. I think outside of The Walking Dead, he's had some pretty cool roles, and the little bit of interactions I've had with him at conventions, he seems like an alright guy.
I love Norman Reedus. I fucking hate Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl was a cool character in the first 2.5 seasons, give or take, where he was just kind of the silent sort of unknown quantity that seemed very distant, but actually cared a whole lot. And then they made him a main focal point of the show, but gave him no character development. He just kept being the same silent, gruff, distant character, while also being the main character.
And gave him superpowers. He fucking killed a tank. I know he doesn't actually have superpowers, but he kills a tank. And
doesn't he just climb on it and throw a grenade inside of it?
He rolls a grenade down the fucking gun barrel.
Yeah, that's normal. And it's not the tank was being it's not like it was an army crew attacking them in that tank.
Yeah, it wasn't expertly piloted or anything like that, but at that point when he kills the tank and then he wasn't one of the Negan deaths, I was just alright, he's too strong and they need to get rid of him.
Yeah, I don't think he was too strong necessarily. It was just more of a, like I said, his character had no real development. He was just kind of there because he became a fan favorite. But then by pushing him into the forefront of everything, he lost that sort of mysteriousness, but they tried to keep it.
And then there was the whole, relationship with Carol that didn't actually happen but was budding, and then didn't happen, and then he got kidnapped and put into Negan slavery. And then Carol just fell in love with King Ezekiel somehow, I guess. I don't know.
Well, let's be real. King Ezekiel, much cooler.
Oh, I love King Ezekiel. I love Kerry Payne. He's fantastic. He's Ezekiel was cool in the show and the comic. Yes.
He is one of the few characters that is actually cool in both. Because if you look at the comic, most of the cool characters in the comic not cool in the show, and vice versa. Carol sucked in the comic. She was dead before they got out of the prison.
Mm-hmm. She killed herself.
Yeah, she basically just let herself get eaten by fucking walkers. And then Tyrese, coolest fucking dude in the comic, fucking lame as shit in the show. Yep, yeah. Man, I still remember in the fucking comic when he gets locked in that gym with all the walkers and beats them all with that fucking hammer. Yeah. And everyone's oh, Tyrese is dead. You open the gym door, no, Tyrese is standing on a pile of dead walkers and he's fine.
Yeah, it was freaking amazing. I love Tyrese. He was... what did his story turn into in the I don't even remember his story. He was barely in it the show.
He was very boring in the show. Like, the actor was very good, but, like, what he was given sucked.
Yeah.
And then you had, what's her name? Andrea. Andrea, actually pretty cool in the comic, especially in, like, the latter half of it, like, post-prison. And in the show, like, she kind of sucked.
Yeah, she absolutely sucked. But, like, and that's a weird thing. Like, they kind of switched the roles, because it seemed like Andrea took over the role of Carol, and Carol took over the role of Andrea in the show.
In like, some ways, yeah. And then, like Andrea also, part of her stuff also got split over to Michonne. Because in the show, they let that love interest with Rick happen with Michonne. Yeah.
And that was, because, like, in the comics, the love between them was supposed to be Michonne and Ezekiel.
Right. I forgot about that.
After All Out War and the stuff with Negan, there was still supposed to be that time jump, and it was supposed to be Ezekiel and Michonne, where she was, like, the captain of, like, a fleet of ships and stuff. Like, I didn't get too far into the Whisper Wars or anything, but, like, she was, like, a ship captain and stuff, and, like, they were a thing. And it was...
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah, and then, like, meanwhile, like, Andrea became, like, a main, like, leader of Alexandria. And,
it was the relationship was Andrea and Rick.
Yeah, and then she basically, like, she becomes a surrogate mother to Carl, like, to the point where, like, he refers to her as mom, and then she ends up dying. And, like, her death was actually, like, in a series that was mostly about death, like, her death was actually super sad.
I don't think because her death was during the Whisper Wars, wasn't it?
If not during, it was, like, right before or right after.
Like, she wasn't one of the head pikes, but she was after that point. The last thing I saw was the head pikes.
I think the biggest head pike was Ezekiel.
Yeah.
It's like, I know Michonne goes on to become, like, a judge in the New World at the, like, when they do, like, the big time skip at the end. Mm-hmm. Because, like, Rick dies, like, long before that. Some other stuff happens, I don't remember, but, like, the last issue is, like, 20 years later, and it's Carl is still alive. He's not married to Sophia, I don't believe. Or maybe he is. Maybe I'm getting the show and the book crossed again.
Well, Sophia's dead in the show.
Yeah, right? But I don't think he was married to her, but he had kids. And he killed, like, it's basically, like, the world is mostly okay again. Like, it's very, like, pioneer-ish. But, fucking Glenn and Maggie's kid, Herschel, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then he's basically a douchebag, because Maggie is, like, president of the world.
Okay.
And he travels with a circus of walkers that, like, he has on chains and all. And I think, like, one of them got loose or something like that, so Carl goes and just fucking kills them all because he still does not give a fuck. And basically gets sued for it. But, like, the judge is Michonne, who basically says, like, yeah, like, I played it up, but, like, I'm not gonna let you go to jail for killing a walker. Like, the fuck do you think, man?
Yeah.
Just, like, say you're sorry whether you mean it or not, and we'll call it a day, and he can go fuck himself.
Yeah.
But
kids.
I mean, that book actually, like, stayed pretty good, and, like, kept the twist going in a good way, whereas the show didn't, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Silent Hill. They had literally just an hour and a half ago, as of right now, they had a Silent Hill transmission, which was a live, not even a live stream. It was just a pre-recorded stream they did. First thing, not related to the games, but to the stream itself. So you know how, like, when you watch, like, a Nintendo Direct, there's that one man whose name I do not know that does all the talking, but then there is the voiceover of it dubbed in English. Mm-hmm. So Konami did not give any fucks about that. They had 3 to 5 people that were all Japanese talking. One of them, like this one lady, spoke perfect English. She was the first one to introduce herself. She introduced herself in perfect English and said she was like she'd be the facilitator or something today. So I'm like, oh, okay, great. So she's going to be the translator. And then the next 10 minutes proceeded to be her with the 2, like, people involved in the game speaking nothing but Japanese with subtitles while, like, I'm trying to, like, walk the dogs and, like, get dinner ready. So I have no idea what the fuck they were saying beyond, like, watching the trailers. And, like, that proceeded for the rest of the thing. They had some people from other places on that spoke English, but, like, every time they had somebody from Konami on, They spoke in Japanese and it was subtitled, and they gave zero fucks about like having a voiceover dub for a pre-recorded stream.
I could have told you that that's how it was going to be, because Capcom does the same thing with their town halls when it comes to Monster Hunter.
Yeah, but Monster Hunter is way bigger in Japan, so I get that. I'm kidding, but the goofiest thing though. So this was obviously the stream meant for the English speaking, because like all of the other devs that were on that spoke in English, and the game, every time they showed video of the game, it was the English dub of it. It wasn't like, cause you know how a lot of times like when you see like early game footage, it's the Japanese version, even if it's going to be dubbed.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on guys, like at least have like a translator talking after the person's done talking. Like, I'm watching this on my phone. I cannot read the fucking subtitles while I'm walking the dog.
Well, maybe watch it later when you can read the subtitles.
I did. It was like a 30 to 45 minute stream. I did not have a later that I could watch it. Thank you very much.
I mean, I didn't watch it at all. So
that's true.
You could watch it tomorrow during work. But
then we wouldn't be able to talk about it now.
I mean, true.
This is timely information too. So we are the biggest thing. We are getting Silent Hill 2 remake. Don't know when. Did not have a when. But we're getting a Silent Hill 2 remake. It's Bloober Team doing it, which, you know, could be good, could be bad. Mm-hmm. They most recently did, I'm going to double check that I'm not fucking wrong. Yeah, they did The Medium, which was that Xbox PC exclusive game.
Right, yeah, where it was like, it was two different worlds and whatnot, and you had to jump back and forth between them in order to advance and whatnot. Yeah,
very cool concept. I only played the early game, and the early game was neat. I heard that, like the longer the game went on, it just kind of got worse, though.
Well, because it was gimmicky, because you had to play both worlds simultaneously, right? It wasn't, you could...
Yes, but that part was actually kind of cool. Because generally, like, if there was a, generally in the dark world, let's call it, because I don't know what else you would call it, that's where, like, there were weird monsters and, like, more elaborate things in the way. There weren't necessarily similar obstacles in the real world. So it's not like you were trying to, like, walk around things in one that like, you had to walk a different way in the other. It was usually, like, you could kind of focus on one and just run in that one. But, like, that part of it was cool. Apparently, like, the story and the narrative got really bad as that game went on, though.
Yeah.
But they also did, like, the original Layers of Fear, which is a relatively, like... I'm pretty sure people liked that game. And they did the 2019 Blair Witch game, which, again, I only played a little bit of it, because it actually made me motion sick. I'm not sure why, because it wasn't VR or anything. But that Blair Witch game, like, the little bit I played was actually pretty cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
But they're making this remake. It's going to be a PS5 console exclusive, as well as Steam. And yeah, it's a straight Silent Hill 2 remake, which is cool because, like, that is the one everyone likes. Like, not that, like, people like Silent Hill 1, but, like, 2 is kind of, like, the benchmark of that series.
Yeah, I mean, I never really got into Silent Hill back in the day. Like, I think we had Silent Hill 1, but I never really played it. So, like, I don't really have a lot of nostalgia or anything for for those games. But, like, I mean, yeah, that's neat. I think Silent Hill 2 is the one with the dog ending, or, like, the alien ending.
You might be right. I know that's a thing. Like, Silent Hills have, like, those, like, goofy, like, alternate endings to them.
Yeah, it's like the goofy dev endings is what they call them. And, like, one of them was you go in, I think it's Silent Hill 3, you go into a room and there's a fucking corgi controlling everything at a computer.
Yeah.
And the other one, probably Silent Hill 2, or these might be reversed. The dev ending wasn't even animated. It was drawn and comicked out of, like...
That sounds right. I vaguely remember that, too.
Of like an alien, like it was all aliens the whole time or some shit like that. I don't remember. I've seen some of those weird things for these games, and I know they're weird. I know they're trippy, and they can be extremely scary, like a lot more scary than even fucking Resident Evil 1 and 2 were. But I've never gotten into them.
I think that's the thing, is the Silent Hill games, I think, actually do have a more of a scary atmosphere, because like even though Resident Evil like weapons and stuff are limited, you're still going into it as, like, generally you're some sort of, like, police officer, or other than 2, because isn't Claire's not anything, right?
Yeah, Claire is the only character in any Resident Evil game, with the exception of, I guess, Sherry when you get to Resident Evil 6, but I can't remember backstory, that isn't, like, a trained, like, law enforcement officer.
Okay, I thought so, but, like, whereas Silent Hill, like, at least the first 2, you're not you're just a person in, like, a scary fucking place full of monsters. Like,
yeah.
And I think, and, like, Silent Hill had that, like, fog thing going, and I know, like, the Silent Hill 2 on PS2, like, I remember people talking, like, that had, like, cool, like, home theater setups in the early 2000s with, like, you know, like, they had, like, a big screen TV at home, and they had, like, old school surround sound with, like, a nice receiver and all that would play this game, and, like, would get legitimately scared because, like, the game actually apparently, like, didn't, like, take super effect of that, but at least, you know, you would hear stuff that sounded like it was coming from behind you when there were, like, monsters coming from different sides and stuff.
Yeah.
This is also the one that I believe started, like, Pyramid Head was first in.
Mm-hmm.
Which, funny, I mentioned this on the group chat earlier. During the stream, they referred to him as Pyramid Thing.
Thing.
Yeah. But after that, they didn't announce a date for it, but they announced that, and then they announced another game.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Silent Hill Townfall, and it's an Annapurna Interactive game with No Code Studios, like, doing the setup. And, like, there wasn't really anything in the trailer that like I saw. Like, it was like an old, like, tape recorder Game Boy looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about it. So, like, not really sure what that game's going to be, but it's another Silent Hill game that's, like, being worked on. And then, for better or worse, we're getting another Silent Hill movie.
I mean, that's fine. I'm not going to put the first Silent Hill movie or second Silent Hill movie on the pedestal of what I'm expecting for the next Silent Hill. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, it could potentially be a very good, scary movie. Like, that's all that needs to be. Like, I'm not, like, yeah, the first Silent Hill movie wasn't the greatest thing in the world. It was quite not good. But, like, alright, that was 20 years ago.
Oh, God, yeah, it almost was. It was 2006 was that first movie. So this new one, it's being directed by the same director of the original one, Christoph Gaines, who, other than the first Silent Hill, he did the not Disney Beauty and the Beast movie from, like, 7 or 8 years ago, and a few other, like kind of, like, unknown, like, horror gothic sort of movies. But this is called Return to Silent Hill, and it's apparently going to be based on Silent Hill 2, the game. So, like, could actually be cool, and maybe coming out next year.
Mm-hmm.
I won't promise it's next year, because it's a fucking movie, but, like, it could be next year.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Jesus, he really hasn't done anything. Why are they picking him to do this?
Because he did the first one, so they're giving him another shot.
He literally has... This is the bullshit. His resume stops in 2014. The fuck has he done in the last 6 years? 7, 8 years? Like...
Look, he has done 7 movies since 1981. He doesn't do a lot as far as, like, filmmaking goes, I guess. But he's probably one of those people that either has money or, like, invests in other stuff. And, like, he probably went to them to do it. Because I think the 2006 Silent Hill, like, while it wasn't, like, super well, like, received isn't the right word. So I think it actually did decent in the box office in 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made over $100 million in the box office in 2006 on a $50 million budget. So, like, it was a success. It was one of those things, a lot of people went to see it, but no one really liked it.
Yeah.
Which we can all attest to, having watched it. And then they announced a live event. I don't entirely know what that means. 'Cause this unfortunately was a trailer I missed, but it's called Silent Hill Ascension. And it's going to be some sort of, like, live stream event something next year. So could be interesting. they're branching out. Like they're trying to make this franchise a thing again, which is cool.
What if this is like a pseudo Twitch plays type of shit?
I mean, it could be, and that could be neat. And they then wrapped it up with the Silent Hill take on Midsummer. It's called Silent Hill F. It's not actually a take on Midsummer. It's just part of the thing. Showed like these flowers and this girl wearing like this flower suit similar to Midsummer. Drew actually shared a picture of it on our chat.
Mm-hmm.
But it's called Silent Hill F, and it's a spin-off set in the 1960s in Japan.
Okay.
So, like, again, like, no real information about it beyond that and a cinematic trailer. But, like, that could actually be kind of cool. Like, a horror movie set in, like, the 60s in Japan, like, is definitely something different. But I'm at least intrigued enough that, like, I'd like to see more about the two new games. And as long as Bloober Team doesn't fucking drop the ball, the Silent Hill 2 remake could actually be pretty fucking cool. Because from what they were saying on the stream, they're trying to keep like the atmosphere and everything from the original intact while updating the game to a more modern standard as far as like gameplay and controls and all that stuff goes. So it's not just going to be like a 1-for-1 the way like the 2002 Resident Evil remake was, which I realize like that's not that far removed from the original game, but like that game had like a like looks better but plays the same. Like it's still like old school tank controls and all. This one should be like a much more modern cinematic game with that hopefully that same like sense of dread and atmosphere that the original had.
Yeah. I'm looking a little bit more into the Silent Hill Ascension, and I don't a live Silent Hill coming next year. Like I don't really know what it is.
Nobody does.
Bad Robot is working on it, which that's J.J. Abrams. B.E. Javier is Dead by Daylight. And a video game to TV specialist production company DJ2 Entertainment. Like I don't know what they've ever done. Like this could very well be like a sort of Twitch plays type of thing going on. Like you might not need the game to actually play this. It seems very interesting, like an asymmetric game where somebody's playing as a villain.
Could be, and like that would be interesting.
It's not a live event. I don't think it's a live event.
Well, they were calling it a live event.
The trailer says live 2023.
So on the stream and in the articles that I have like skimmed through, they call it a live event.
But the trailer just shows live 2023.
No, I understand, but I'm going off of what they said in the stream itself, like after and before the thing, and then also like in the articles. I think
there's some translation errors right there.
Could be. Definitely could be. But yeah, so a lot of Silent Hill stuff on the horizon, and I guess to keep it in the spooky mood, Rich, would you like to talk a little bit about your Resident Evil experiences?
Yeah, so we actually have never, as far as I can remember, talked about Resident Evil 4 on the podcast. There's a reason we kind of glanced over 2 and 3. We talked about them very recently, but we never really talked about 4, 5, and 6. So we will talk a little bit about those. And I played through Resident Evil 4 starting last Thursday. It was Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, which took me a lot longer to play, as you're already hearing. And I'm a little disappointed at it. I remember it being like well received and well regarded. I remember loving it back in the day, but I think really what people loved about it were the QTEs, because that was the start of them. Like that was really the major start of QuickTime events.
And it was like when it was still done kind of well.
Yeah, and they're still done well. They are. But this is when Resident Evil did really start to change from survival horror to just mostly action. Literally, Resident Evil 4 and 5, to my experience, you can consider them arena shooters. It is unfortunate.
5, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, 4, like, you go into an area, you kill everything, you get the key, you go to the next area. Like, it's the same thing with 5. Like, you go into an area, you kill everything. All right, let's move on. And it's unfortunate. Like, I remember enjoying Resident Evil 5. I remember loving Resident Evil 4. But going back and playing it, like, I don't think even with the updates that they made, like the however many fucking releases they did to this game, I don't think it holds up. It really doesn't. Now, my experience is a little skewed because I was seemingly having connection issues with my controller, and during cutscenes, my controller would just disconnect sometimes.
Oh, that sucks.
So, and it would be during, like, QTE cutscenes. It would just disconnect. And I wouldn't have time to hit whatever button was needed to hit or whatever. So I might have had a little bit of issues, so it might have soured my playthrough, but overall, like Ashley is just kind of a pointless character. She really is.
Yeah, and I know that was one of the things that people didn't like about those games was, like, the hand-holdy stuff.
But also at the same time, like, she's only in for, like, less than a third of the game. And, like, you find her, and then you get to a point, and then they kidnap her again, and you rescue her, and then you go to a room, and it's like, oh, you wait here, you go do that by yourself. You come back, they kidnap her again, and then you don't get her till the end of the game, where before you go to the final boss, you're like, oh, you wait here. And it was kind of just, it was a pointless mechanic that, like, they really didn't need to add into it.
I think it was one of those, like, not many games did it up to that point, so it was still kind of it was like a bit of a novelty, and definitely something that was new for technology.
Yeah.
So, like, who knows if maybe it was just like they did what the GameCube could handle for the time, and they didn't want to push it too much yet.
Yeah. And, like, the thing about them having Ashley is if you're playing this game on normal mode, because she's so weak, they overload you with health. They overload you with green herbs, red herbs, yellow herbs, and healing stuff. Because she gets hit twice, she's dead. So I'm going through the game, and I had, like, full cases of health and healing items. And I'm like, this is a bit much. A bit much. But overall, like, it's a solid game. It's fun. But, like, it didn't age well. Even with the HD updates. It didn't age well, I don't think. And, like, maybe the Resident Evil 4 remake is going to be the thing that, like, makes it good again. But, like, I think the game runs well enough that we don't need it still.
So, that is your opinion. Because I knew you were playing this and I was looking for other stuff to kind of, like, screw around with on my Steam Deck, I loaded up Resident Evil 4. Because I have it on Steam. I've had it for years and just never played it. I played for about 15 minutes and then just couldn't anymore. I fucking hate the way old Resident Evil games control. I can't do the tank controls.
Yeah, I mean, that's a product of its time for sure. And 4 and 5 both still have the tank controls. But, I mean, 5, they did it a little bit better. But it's still, like, the game is made around the tank controls. So it's not, you can still, it works. After playing, like, yeah, I played Resident Evil 0 and 1, so I'm used to the tank controls. The nostalgia of these games isn't, like, the story. It's, like, playing them, and I always loved playing, like, the tank controls never bothered me back in the day. It's dated for sure, but it's a mechanic that is built into the game and works with the game and how the game is built.
Yeah, it was making me... So, and part of this was definitely the Steam Deck being just like a small screen very close to me. I was getting a little sick playing it too.
Turn off motion blur.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
but
no, my first stream, I jumped in and I'm like, it's choppy, the frames are dropping, I don't know what's going on. I turned off motion blur, everything was fine.
But I was having the worst fucking time in those first few minutes, just, like, moving, like aside from feeling sick, like, the camera, like, not really being, like, a camera you control. It's one of those, like, you can look a little bit and then it snaps back. Like, it very much feels like a game of its time. And I haven't really touched Resident Evil 4 since back then.
Yeah.
Like, This
is my first time playing Resident Evil 4 since launch. I never bought it on any other of the 15 million different releases that this game has had. Besides, I'm did I buy it on Wii? I don't think I even bought it on Wii. I had it on GameCube. I played it on GameCube. I beat it on GameCube. I thought about getting it for the Wii because the motion controls with how you control, how you aim would have been amazing. But like there's definitely issues. They needed to unlock the button controls to where you can set it up the way you want it. Because if I could set up the button controls to use the control stick to aim my weapon, to use the look stick to aim my weapon instead of using the movement stick, it would have felt a little bit better. It took time.
You can.
I got used. No, I tried every different version of control scheme that they had set up.
Oh, that's the first thing I did.
Unless you can actually change it entirely. Because like the initial control scheme they start you with is your weapon out is your trigger, and then to shoot is A. And I'm like, no, that's not what we're doing here.
Yes, I had that too, but no, I changed mine to I think I changed it to like preset 3, where it was left trigger to ready your gun, right trigger to fire the gun, left bumper to ready your knife, and then right trigger to slash with the knife, and then left stick moves and right stick is camera and aiming when you're readying your weapon.
Maybe I missed. I think I used Control Scheme 4, which didn't have the right stick aiming. But it's just like I can understand like the tank controls are a little rough and a little sluggish, but the game was built around that, and that's always been my thing with even the older games, Resident Evil 1 and 2, like, and even 3. Like the game was built around knowing that they have these clunky controls, so the characters are also clunky. Like, it's one reason why I have a tough time going back to older Monster Hunters. Because the controls and the control schemes and the weapons are a lot slower in the older games in Generations and prior. Which is 2 games ago. It's a Generations World Rise. Like, Generations and prior, completely different gameplay than World and Rise. It's a hard ask for me to go back to those games because they did so well with these new ones. But the games are built around those slower control schemes. And those like the enemies might attack slower. The enemies might not be as react. It's like with for instance, with Resident Evil 1, you can only aim diagonal up, diagonal down, and straight. So like the way the controls work for you in that one is you unfortunately have to wait until the zombie is right in your face. But if you aim up with your shotgun and the zombie's in your face, you blow their head off. Almost 99% of the time, you blow their head off with one shot, as long as you can hit that right.
But I think
just avoid things.
The difference, though, too, you have a nostalgia for this as a series. I do not. I never played 1, 2, or 3 in the 90s or early 2000s. Mm-hmm. I've actually still never played 2 or 3. I
never played 3. I never played Nemesis. So the remake is Resident Evil 3. The original is Resident Evil Nemesis.
But yeah, like, I never, like, those are not a game that I have nostalgia for. I enjoyed 4 at the time, but also 4 I played on GameCube where, like, you didn't really have another analog stick. I think that's part of what gets me, is when you have the analog stick and, like, it's not really useful for anything because muscle memory is, I'm playing a video game, this thing makes me look around. And when it doesn't, you're like, you have to, like, turn off that part of your brain, and because I don't have a muscle memory at all, or nostalgia for tank controls. So tank controls are one of those things where, like, I have to really stop and fucking think about them, and I don't like them. And even, very beginning of Resident Evil 4, you go into the house, you kill the one dude in the house, and then you leave the house, and there's, like, 3 or 4 guys that come up. I didn't almost die against them, but I had trouble fucking killing them because of the, like, you can't move while you're aiming and all that stuff. And it's not bad game design. It's just, it's dated for the time. And I don't have the muscle memory for that. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I picked up, because, like I said, I haven't played 4 since GameCube. I haven't played 5 since GameCube. I picked these up and I got right back into it. And it wasn't
5 was a PS3, my friend.
Not even that. I didn't play that since Xbox 360. I had it for the Xbox. But
that was your fault.
I mean, that's what everyone I knew had played, and that's what I had. I didn't get a PS3 till late in the game because it was Eric's, and then he moved out.
That's fair. That is valid.
Or maybe that was PS4, and I think it was Eric.
No, Eric moved out before the PS4 released.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like to you, sure, maybe like the controls are a little too hard, but like honestly, if you were to just put a half hour into it more, just a little bit more time, I really think it's just, you gotta put more time into it to get used to it. It is a different control scheme, but the game is built around that control scheme.
But and here's the thing. It feels bad. Like, I was not having fun playing it. I don't want to I don't want to force myself to play for 30 more minutes to see if it stops feeling bad. And it's not a game that I need to play. Like, I just popped it in just to get be like, oh, I haven't like touched this in 15 years. I wonder what it's like. Because I knew you'd be talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't think it's a bad game. Again, like, there is a reason that game has been ported to every conceivable platform.
But I'm at the point right now where I don't understand why it's been ported. Like, it is a great game, but I don't think it aged well to where it should have been ported as many times as it was.
I think that's kind of the case about all Resident Evils, which is why they just started remaking them instead.
But they haven't remade Resident Evil 1.
It's been 20 years.
The one game that really needs an update. They did update it, but it still had the same old control scheme, and they didn't turn it into what Resident Evil 2 and 3 are now, but they're going into 4, which is a game that, like, for what it is, I don't think you're going to be able to turn it into what Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake are. And I don't think you're going to be able to enhance it much by doing what you did with 2 and 3. Because one of my biggest issues with the 2 and 3 Remake are these zombies are fucking invincible. And if you're gonna turn Resident Evil 2, or Resident Evil 4, which is essentially an arena shooter where you have to kill everything, into these Resident Evil games where these zombies are next to impossible to kill sometimes. Like, I literally hear death moans 4 times from the same fucking zombie before they die in these newer games. Because they were made to not kill everything. They were made to, you actually have to survive and you have to avoid and you have to dodge. That's what the 2 and 3 remakes are. But if you're gonna do that into 4, like, that's not what 4 was. So if they're gonna have to recreate from ground up all of what 4 was, if they're trying to turn it into what 2 and 3 remake are.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I agree. I do not necessarily think that a 4 remake is going to be as big of a change as, like, the 2 and 3 remakes were.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I think it's just I think updating, like, to just modern controls and a more modern pacing, if they do that at all. Like, they might not. It might just be like a ground up, like, visual remake, and then it's the same fucking gameplay.
No, it'll be Resident Evil 2 and 3 control scheme with like Resident Evil 2 and 3 like visual style as well, probably.
I mean, that's
but like that also raises a question then, like, where are they going to stop? Are they going to keep going with 5? And what are they going to fucking do at 6? Are they even going to do 6? Like,
I feel like by that point, like, by the time you get to 5 is modern enough right now that there's not that much to change, but aside from, like, the control scheme.
It's still very tanky for sure, and it is not horror. It is not horror. But like Resident Evil 4 itself, like, overall the story was, you're a rad dude. You're going and saving the president's fucking daughter. And it gets bonkers because, like, you don't know what was going on over the past 8 years. And so, like, there's connections with Wesker, and there's, you meet, Krauser, who the fuck is Krauser? And, like, I kept having to say, like, I know that there are animated movies, and I think some of them take place pre-4, some of them take place after 4, before 5, so you can get those connections to try to understand what's been going on. But those movies as well are just very fantastical and very fantasy-esque. or sci-fi-esque, I guess you could say, where it's like, it's not just like, oh, here's the story that's gone over the past 8 years. It's, here's this little sliver of time 2 years ago where the virus got out again. And it's just like, it also doesn't make sense with the beginning of 5. It's like, oh, the Plagas that you stopped in 4, was sold on the black market, or was distributed to pharmaceutical companies. It's like, well, why was that even legally allowed? Why didn't you just destroy this thing entirely?
Because why not?
Some of it, like, this is, like, 4, 5, and 6 is where the story does just absolutely go off the rails. But 4 overall, like, it was an absolutely fine game. I would, at this point, I would not put it high. It would be higher than 0, probably higher than 1, but lower than 2 and 3 remakes. If I had the ability or access to play the original 2, it might be better than the original 2, but I have a lot of nostalgia for the original 2, Resident Evil 2.
Which is fair.
I don't know if I'd be able to do that, but Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake are just so good. But like, it's more than just the gameplay. It's like the story and everything else that goes on is just really good and really well done.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play them. They're just like, there's always something else I'd rather play, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But then I got into starting Resident Evil 5. I wanted to start it on Monday to try to have it beat by yesterday. Unfortunately, I did not, unbeknownst to me, the Steam version of Resident Evil 5 is just the port version of the original Microsoft Games Live Marketplace version that was originally how it was released on PC. So in order to play Resident Evil 5, you need the Microsoft Live Gaming service thing that Microsoft shut down 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So
and you being not great with technology were not the person to try and find a working mod for that.
I literally was searching for just that service, like a backdoor download, to get that service. The thing that eventually you sent me, Cobb, that I was able to get installed on my PC. Like, I was looking for that, like, a backdoor, like, final version of Microsoft Games Live, whatever, like, just to download and install. Couldn't find it. It wasn't coming up.
Also, you refuse to download fucking WinRAR.
No, I don't refuse to download WinRAR. I refuse to download anything from a site that looks like what the fuck WinRAR looks like. Like, look at that site. Everyone here, don't even pause this. I'm gonna go on my rant. But go to your PC and Google WinRAR, look up WinRAR, click the site for the download, and look at that fucking site. Would you download something from that site that looks like a Fisher's Wet Dream right there? Like, no.
Yeah, but would I send you to a site that was going to give you malware?
You didn't send me a WinRAR site. You just told me to download WinRAR.
Exactly. Would I tell you to download it if it was not safe?
I just Googled WinRAR. I might have clicked a bad download site because somebody paid for ads for their fucking phishing site. Like, I don't know. Like, look at that fucking site, though.
They have not changed it since the year 2002, but the application keeps getting updated. That's all that matters.
And my thing is, like, if a .rar file is so common, why isn't the ability to read those files automatically on computers?
It is on operating systems that aren't Windows.
Yeah.
Like my MacBook will decrypt it or uncompress it, no problem.
All it is a zip file. That's all it is.
It is also encrypted, or it can be encrypted. You cannot encrypt the zip file the same way.
But that was also the other thing, was like, getting these mods, I had to download them from just random fucking people who I don't know who the fuck these people are. And like, I will download mods from the Steam marketplace for anything. I will download a mod if it's on the Steam marketplace.
I thought Steam didn't have mods on the marketplace, do they?
For City Skylines, it's on there.
And they're like user-created mods?
User-created mods for City Skylines, and there are some others like that like I think you can get some mods for the Fallout series from Steam. So, like, you would go into their community hub for whatever it is, and you would go into, I don't know. We'll go to City Skylines, because that's how I know how to get to the mods. But, like, you can get, so you go to City Skylines, you go to the community hub, and they should have a workshop. And boom, you can download all the mods that users have created for this, for City Skylines. Yeah,
no, I see what you're talking about now. For some reason, I thought that you still had to get the mods from, like, third-party websites.
No. And so, like, I've been wanting to maybe do, like, a playthrough of Fallout 4 where it's full-on survival, but it unlocks the ability to where I can save anywhere and not just out of bed and stuff like that. And there's mods to help with that. I want to get the mod for random start instead of always being the person in the vault. You could get a mod where it just starts you as a random person who works on a farm or whatever, shit like that. And I've been wanting to try stuff like that for, like, Fallout 4. I know someone who has downloaded mods, who's used those that aren't on the workshop. And I will trust them if he sends them directly to me and sends me the mods himself with all the updates and everything. I will do that. But if I have to go to a fucking website that has 3 different fucking things that you have to try to download, and, like, the website is just a bunch of folders is what it looks like. This does not look trustworthy. This does not look safe. And I don't trust it. I don't. There's a reason I had a PC running for 12 years straight. It's because I don't download shit that I don't trust. And if you look fishy, I'm not downloading you, and I'm using that in both ways.
I just think that's funny, because, like, I have no problem downloading stuff, but I also know what to look for, and I know how to do it safely.
I mean, it's also, like, I was very frustrated because I wanted to start Resident Evil 5 on Monday. I really needed to start it. I was already a few days behind because I wasn't feeling good on Friday, and Resident Evil 4 took a lot longer to beat than I was expecting. That I was, like, 3 days behind at the time, 2 or 3 days behind. And, like, I was just frustrated as all hell that, like, I was initially mad at Capcom, but then I realized this wasn't Capcom's fault. This is fucking Microsoft's fault. They shut down that game's service to open the Xbox Live service on PCs. But they did not set up a workaround to that any game that required that could just use Xbox.
But that's also on the developer to release a version of the game that doesn't require it.
But they should have released some sort of workaround on the Xbox version to where any games... But, like, yeah, it is both, but, like, this should have been fixed by both teams, because this has been a few years now, and, like, it's the same issue with like KOTOR. Some of the things that just doesn't fully work. You need to download a mod to get it to work, and like if the mod's on the workshop or on the Steam Workshop, just download the mod, work it. But, like, I totally understand not wanting to have to download a mod to get a fucking game to work properly. It's bullshit.
I mean, like, that's why I don't like PC games. Because,
but, like, there are older games that work fine for me, that work better, that didn't have to deal with that bullshit.
So I think it was just around the time that Resident Evil 5 came out is a time where they were requiring that stuff, because that was the Windows 8, like, era when the PC version of that game was released. And also, nobody really cares about Resident Evil 5, so it's not like there's, like, a bunch of people clamoring for it. So, like, neither side gives a fuck to, like, do anything to make it work.
There's shockingly a lot more people playing Resident Evil 5 than I had expected, because I had 2 people try to join my game last night.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, there are people playing it, but, like, not enough for a company like Capcom to give a fuck, or Microsoft for that matter. But since you want to get to Resident Evil tonight, do you want to move along?
Yeah, we'll move along. Overall, though, Resident Evil 5 is interesting. I'll have more probably to say about it next week, but, yeah, I had to kill a boss with the knife because I ran out of ammo because I'm playing it single player. And
that happened to me with Wesker.
So the one of the bosses early on requires you to shoot him in its butt. But since I have Sheva following me around, she wouldn't go behind it and shoot it or kite it, so I could shoot it. And I didn't realize what was going on until I'd already used all of my proximity mines and things like that. So I ended up having to just knife it and like hit its armored spot with a knife until hopefully it died. And it did. I killed it with a knife. But I'm gonna be getting to the Jill fight today, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it could go poorly for you playing that game single player.
Sheva has over 50 sniper rifle shots.
Okay, yeah, you're actually probably fine.
AI, because here's the thing, the AI in that game is really smart. They'll use whatever weapon they have the most ammo for, but also at the same time, if you have them set to cover, they're going to use their weaker weapon to cover you. If you have them set to attack, they're going to use their stronger weapon first, until that's out of ammo. And that's what happened with Sheva, is I had her with the rifle and the pistol, and they give you so much pistol ammo because they expect two people to run around with a handgun. And I'm like, fuck this, no. Sheva's getting all the handgun ammo. So she and I boosted her handguns to the strongest they could be. Because, like, she's got pinpoint aim. She's got better aim than I do. She's carrying me through this fucking game. It's ridiculous.
I vaguely remember that being, like, that the AI in that was actually pretty good.
And
not even so much good, it's like powerful because it is very much like you tell this character what to do and they just do it, but the enemies still come after you.
Yeah, it's good but bad. But we'll talk about that later. Let's move on because we still got quite a bit to do.
Yeah. So I started playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which is the 2020 game, where it's not a fighting game.
No.
Like, most Dragon Ball games are fighting games, which is kind of a bummer because, they're very hit or miss. Like, Fighters was good. Some of the other ones, not so good. But this is more like an action RPG, and you play through the story of Dragon Ball Z. So it starts out with, the very beginning, like with the Raditz fight. And it's very fucking accurate to the show, surprisingly. It adds stuff, it starts out where you have a meditation fight with Piccolo to like learn the controls basically as Goku. And then like you do some fetch questy things with Gohan. And then you head to Kame House and you meet everybody and they introduce like side quests and stuff there. And then Raditz shows up and like the game moves on. It's very story heavy, which is good and bad. Like, I like the Dragon Ball Z story, so that part's fun. But there's times where it's like, man, I just want to fly around and fucking fight these weird fucking alien robot creatures that keep attacking me. Cause there are essentially, like, once the game opens up, you kind of have free reign and they just put like a marker of like where the next story beat is. Yeah. But like otherwise you can just like explore the area and like there's lots of like familiar faces around. Mm-hmm. Like, I just found, I'm Gohan right now, post him turning into the Great Ape while doing the Piccolo training.
Okay.
So like, I'm Gohan and I just started walking up towards towards the next point and fucking Yajirobe is hanging out of fire. And when I was, flying around as Piccolo before, I found Launch, who, they fucking stopped using her in the American version of Dragon Ball after Dragon Ball. And like the fucking, the announcer from like the tournaments is like I saw him on the map at one point. Like lots of nice little nods to stuff like that. And like things to go explore and look for and do over the map instead of just going from like one story mission to the next. But then the story missions play through pretty much like the show does. Combat's real simple. It's I actually bought this so I could try it on Steam Deck. It claims it's not Steam Deck compatible at all. Works like a fucking dream though, which means Valve just hasn't gotten to the point of testing it yet. But it's B, which would be circle on PlayStation, is like your physical attack. X, which would be square on your PlayStation controller, is your like regular key blast. Y is like a like your power up, so you can charge up your key. And then A is your like dodge, flash step sort of move. Mm-hmm. And then the triggers help you like do different stuff. Like you hold certain triggers or bumpers to bring up like the special attacks. So I think it's the left bumper. When you hold that in, you get a list of the specials. And it's basically one button specials. So like the Kamehameha is you hold the left bumper and then hit Y. And Goku will do the Kamehameha at the enemy. But like, if you're too far away and the enemy's not stunned, they'll just move out of the fucking way of the Kamehameha. It's not a big deal.
Mhm.
But like, you can block attacks. If you get attacked in like if somebody attacks you with like a big energy blast and you are blocking, you can then actually use A or X to kind of like do something. If you're far away from them, you can hit A and you'll actually teleport behind them and you can attack. And if you hit X and you're close to them, you'll do like a power explosion where like you power up and like knock them away from you.
Yeah.
It's cool. Timing can be a little tricky unless it's like a concentrated blast. Cause like some of like the random enemies on the map, they do these like missile attacks, and hitting the thing when those are hitting you can be a little hit or miss. Haha. But, like when I fought Raditz has a lot of like beam attacks that like, it's pretty easy to time those. I did have a hell of a time fucking beating Raditz though. Like that was a tough fucking fight. Mostly because he has one like super attack that I didn't understand how to avoid it. Cause like every time I blocked it to try and like get behind him instead, it would hit me, too quickly and then it would like knock, like basically stun me. And
Yeah.
eventually it was just, I just had to keep redoing the fight and eventually I just got enough hits on him before he hit me with that. Cause he has 5 health bars they have to take down.
Okay, yeah.
So, and that's how most of the enemies are. It's like, they all build up a bunch of health bars. Surprisingly, the fucking fight against Giant Ape Gohan, not that fucking bad. Also didn't have to take all of his health bars down. And because he's like rampaging, or raging, he never really focuses his attacks. So like, he'll do like the mouth beam, but like all you have to do is move out of the way and he shoots like 4 of them in the same place that like you're not. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like overall, like it's pretty fucking cool so far. I believe it goes at least through Cell. I'm not sure if it goes to the Boo Saga, but there is like a bunch of DLC, including like stuff from Super.
Yeah.
And they actually have English voice acting, and it's the English voice cast. So like, you know, Piccolo is Christopher Sabat, and Goku is Sean Schemmel, or however you pronounce his last name. And fucking Krillin was Sonny Strait. I have not seen.
Is that who Krillin's voice actor is? Sonny Strait?
Yeah.
I did not know their name.
Yeah. He's also like the voice of you watched Assassination Classroom, right?
No, I've never watched it.
I thought you watched that. He's the voice of Kuro Sensei, if I remember correctly in the dub. He is Usopp, the guy with the big nose in One Piece, and I think he does somebody in My Hero's dub also. Also, stop your clicking, man. It's distracting.
Well, stop
Click,
getting
click,
distracted. I'm
Click,
clicking
click, click.
quiet.
Yeah.
I don't hear it.
I hear well, you're wearing noise-canceling headphones.
Well, if you wear noise canceling,
I am, which makes it even fucking worse. It's just echoing in my ears.
then you wouldn't hear my clicks from 30 blocks away.
Man, it's gonna take me all morning tomorrow to fucking get all those clicks out of that audio. But yeah, it's been cool so far. I'm looking forward to getting a little bit further where like you get like better power ups and cause you also get parties. So it looks like you can have up to 3 people. So far, like it's early. So like the Raditz fight, it was Goku and Piccolo versus Raditz. And like the first half of the fight, you can like, you're both attacking together and you can kind of like give like minor commands. Like you can tell Piccolo like to use one of like 2 of his special moves like on demand. But otherwise like the characters have like set roles from the look of it. I haven't gotten far enough to figure out if there's a way to change those or not because I only had that one fight with somebody. But like you have like attackers, defenders, and supporters. And it's basically like the name says, attackers are going to just attack with whoever your main character is. A defender is going to spend more time potentially blocking attacks for you. And then support are going to like potentially heal you, but then they will also fall into defending and attacking depending on how like the fight's going.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that plays out when you have like 3 people on a team and whether you can swap between characters. At least swap between them on the fly in fights. I assume if you're in a story fight, you probably can't too much. Cause at least the Raditz fight was very much accurate to the show as much as it could be. Like you fight them as Goku and Piccolo. You take down a health bar and like he's like, "Hi, you guys suck. Fuck both of you." And then Piccolo starts charging up the special beam cannon while you fight him as just Goku. Mm-hmm. They cut a little bit of it after, you know how like Goku like does the tail and then Raditz like knocks him over and then starts like kicking him and shit, and that's when Gohan busts out of the capsule and like rockets at Raditz and like weakens him and everything.
Yeah.
In the show, there is then like more fight after that because Piccolo fires the special beam cannon before Raditz gets away from Goku the first time, and dodges it. So then, like, he has to charge it up again. They skip that. It's just one special beam cannon. So, like, Gohan does the thing. Yeah.
I think most games only do the one, because there's no point in doing two.
Yeah, because it's just another round of what was a long-ish fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get skill points, you get to learn new moves as you go, you can change out like what your special moves are. It seems like it's deeper than I expected it to be. And I'm definitely going to keep playing because I can install it on my PC, and I could always plug a Steam link in if I want to play it on the TV. But then I can also just play on the Steam Deck. Like, I can just pop that out of the case and sit on the couch while we're watching TV and like run around and like fucking fight things as Goku or Gohan. I'm hoping I get to go on Snake Way. Like, I want to go, like, run around on Snake Way and, like, do silly shit.
Just gonna be running on Snake Way, though. That's it. Like, there's
but, like,
nothing to do.
I want them to let me do the filler and go to the Home for Infinite Losers. Or at the very least, I want, like, a small section where I actually get to train on King Kai's planet and I have to, catch Bubbles and hit Gregory with the mallet.
Oh, that's definitely gonna be in it.
Yeah, because all I've gotten so far was a loading screen that says Goku is on Snake Way heading to King Kai's planet. I'm like, yeah, no, I know that. I have seen this show. I know where this shit is going. And like, who knows? Maybe when I get to the pre-Android saga, maybe I'll have to go get a license as Goku and Piccolo. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It was actually I forget what site it was. Games Planet, I think it was. They had Steam keys for it on sale for $12.99 for the base game and $17.99 for the I think it was the deluxe edition because there were 3 versions. There was like basic, deluxe, and ultimate, maybe. So I did get some DLC with it. I haven't gone into that yet though because I'm still at the beginning of the game. But I didn't get the big one that came with everything because that was $40 fucking. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy a $40 PC game just in case it doesn't run in the Steam Deck and I don't like it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
I did also, I'm not going to talk about it because I haven't touched it yet, but I did also pick up Tales of Arise on that same sale.
I want to get that. It's going to be probably my Christmas gift to myself.
Yeah, it was $20 on this sale. If you want, I'll check and see if it's still going and send you the link.
But then I'm going to buy it early and then it won't be a Christmas gift and then I'll have to figure out a new Christmas gift.
Treat yourself. And like $20 instead of $60.
I know. Look, I was excited that I was able to save like $5 today, okay? Like, I was so pumped for that.
$5 on what? I'm sorry.
On Resident Evil 8.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
sorry.
So, for the listeners, and I swear that this is not how they normally do it. Like, I swear, whenever you buy, like, a game and they have a bundle, if you already have parts of the bundle on Steam, like, you get that unless it's just the one game. You have to pay the full price. But I own all the Resident Evils on Steam, and I didn't own 8, and that went on sale today for 25% off. But there's a bundle for Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake, Resident Evil 7 and 8 for 44% off. So because it was already 25% off plus whatever the bundle percentage off was, became the total 44% off for Resident Evil 8, meaning instead of buying it for $29.99, I bought it for like $23.50 or some shit like that. I was like, you know what? This is awesome because this is cheaper than what I was originally going to pay for the game when I did the Humble Bundle, which was $30.
Which is cool. I just sent you a link to it. It was Games Planet. I was right. It's $21, so it's 65% off right now. It's only like that for less than a day. Mm-hmm. So
I'll have to look at it. Yeah,
like from what I hear, people love this game. It does have an 84 on Metacritic, which is pretty good. And yeah, the regular price is still $60.
It's like a super long but awesome JRPG. It's been a game that I've been wanting to get because I love the Tales of series. Like, that is like an eventual plan of mine, is to try to play through as many of those as possible. But there's so many Tales of games.
I was looking at it the other day. There are more than I realized. Yeah. But yeah, and just because you're so suspicious, Games Planet is a safe place. You can buy a game from here. When you buy it, you get an email. The email has a link in it. You click on that link, it goes to your account, and then you can redeem the Steam key that they give you in Steam.
Look, as long as the website doesn't look suspicious, I'm not suspicious. Okay? And I haven't looked at the link. I can't click anymore, so I can't look at it on my computer.
Well, stop.
It's going to fucking yell at me.
Stop clicking so loud.
You gave me this mouse.
And you clicked loud before, too.
See, this just looks like Steam. So it's not going to really key in any suspicious. But it also is very suspicious because it looks like fucking Steam, but it's not.
Yeah, I know. So, but so Wario64 tweeted out this link as like an affiliate link. So
yeah,
like he doesn't tweet out things that aren't safe. Like he actually does do due diligence generally.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the thing. I'm not downloading the game from the site. I'm getting the Steam key to download from Steam, I'm fine with. I am absolutely fine with. Because if I accidentally sign up for something and they steal my bank account information, I can get that back.
That's true.
But if I download a virus that ruins all of my shit on my PC and they can steal my social or whatever, I don't know. I'm fucked.
Well, stop keeping your social security number in a plain text file on your desktop.
Look, it's not in a plain text file. It's in a notepad file, okay? Those are the most secure.
Motherfucker, a text file is a notepad file.
Shut up. Anyway.
This fucking guy.
There is a lot of
do you want to talk a little anime?
Recently coming out. Yeah. I didn't get to watch Chainsaw Man this week, but I did watch the first episode. And I just want to get into mostly the Chainsaw Man animation is fucking beautiful.
Yeah, so I have also only watched the first episode of it. And yeah, it did look like they did a good job.
I was a little sus about the art style itself, but when it came into the action and like the animation, the art really worked well with that. That made me just like absolutely fall in love with the series. I don't care what the fuck the story is. I think the art is just so beautiful and so smooth.
Puchita. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
He's only in like 20 minutes.
But he's a fucking adorable.
He is. He's absolutely adorable. I had a former coworker.
Spoilers for the first episode of Chainsaw Man. This adorable little chainsaw dog fucking gives his heart so that his friend can live.
Yeah, it's adorable. I had a former coworker. He watched it with his daughter. She's of adult age. It's not like he.
Okay, I was gonna be like, damn, that's.
But like, yeah, she's like 18. So he watched it with her, and he texted me. He's like, "Chainsaw Man is the worst thing I ever watched." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Because no one has chainsaws coming out of their face and arms." And I'm like, "Oh, but he loves Star Wars." I'm like, "Oh, but space wizards are believable." He's like, he then turned around. He's like, "Well, the audio doesn't match." I'm like, "What do you mean? The voices don't match." I'm like, "You know what? You're just racist because you want everyone to speak English. That's why you don't like anime."
At that point, watch the fucking dub when it comes out, hopefully soon.
But no, like, that's the thing. Like, the dub doesn't match. The dub will not match. And that's what he doesn't like about anime, is that the English dub doesn't match.
I mean, it depends on the dub. Like, some of them actually do a very good job.
Yeah. But like, he just, I tried to, like, but the art style and, like, the stories just gets wild, and, like, I don't know anything about this thing. I just think it looked very pretty. But I thought, like, the overall, like, first episode, like, the build-up episode and the teaching of the world was very well done.
And they didn't really get into the world too much yet, which is interesting, because it's definitely a different sort of shonen than I think you're used to, especially because, like, you tend to watch a lot of, like the core shonen series. Like the Bleach, the My Hero, the Naruto, like, not that you haven't branched out in the past, but, like...
I didn't know this was shonen. I didn't know Chainsaw Man was shonen. I didn't realize it, at least.
It is in the Shonen Jump app. I don't know if it's... So, that's the one thing. Like, shonen is a very, like, big genre. Like, most most stuff that you are probably familiar with would actually fall in shonen.
Mhm.
Even if it doesn't like necessarily have that like Dragon Ball Z vibe.
Yeah.
But this series goes some fucking cool places and has some really cool like world building that it does, and kind of explaining like I don't know if you caught it just in this first episode, but like every demon is like the demon of something. So like that one he killed at the beginning was a tomato demon.
Yes, demon of tomatoes.
And like there was the zombie demon that turned people into zombies, and the idea, and this is a spoiler, but it's not really a spoiler. The idea is that a demon is more powerful based on essentially the fear that the thing that they are a demon of instills in people in the world. So the most powerful demon that like that up to this point in the series was the gun demon, which they'll probably like start explaining in the next episode. But like that's why like the tomato demon was just like a fucking boring ass tomato.
Yeah,
and
no one's afraid of tomatoes.
Yeah, and like there are some other demons that were like they're kind of pushovers. Like the chainsaw demon ends up being like super cool. Like as you get into like the story about it. And yeah, like I'm very excited for them to introduce Power. I hope they don't like. I hope they keep her character the way it was in the manga, and they don't try and like over sexualize her, because the opening credits already like there's like a scene of her like a very quick one of her in like a bathing suit. I'm like, that's unnecessary.
That's just anime credits though. It's fine.
Exactly. That's why I'm hoping they don't lean into that, because she's kind of like she's very much like a tomboy demon, and is kind of gross, but like in like a fun like silly way. And is probably one of the most entertaining characters in the series. She's the one that has like the light pink hair and the two little red horns. Okay. Not different from the woman that showed up at the end of that first episode. Yeah. But what did you think of the first episode of Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War, the triumphant return?
It is so weird to see Bleach with modern animation.
Dude, it looked real good though.
It did. It looked fantastic. And like not only modern animation but widescreen. And just like,
did it go widescreen by the end?
It probably did, but the initial like the first 100 episodes probably weren't. I don't remember. I haven't watched Bleach since it aired. But like I loved it. I think they went a little overboard with him using Bankai within the first 5 minutes. But like,
dude, I think that was actually what happened in the manga.
Is like he like that the Hollow's attacking, just like, oh fuck it, and uses Bankai and just goes, which I mean it's fun. Like I'm not saying they didn't need to do that or whatever. Like they have to show off his power, for any new viewers who've never seen this before, and you need to get that nostalgia from the people who watched it originally. So like, yeah. Give me that Bankai right away, but also at the same time, there's a little much giving me that Bankai right away. But overall, like it is very fast paced. It's very fast paced. And even, have you watched the second episode yet?
No, because I don't want to watch that show subtitled on Hulu.
Yeah. The second episode is also very fast paced. A lot goes on, a lot is happening. It's very quick, and like it's actually a lot of shonen anime, like My Hero as well this season. Very fast paced. And I'm really liking like the direction that they're going with a lot of these animes, a lot of these like weekly animes that I'm watching right now, is because like it just goes. It just hits. There's no lull, there's no stop. Like Bleach is just gonna go because this is over already. This is done. So they're gonna add in some shit, but we don't have to worry about fucking fillers. We don't have to worry about like running out of, or catching up, because this story is over. And there are, from what I've read and heard, there's gonna be some exclusive fights and some exclusive anime only content that you didn't get with the mangas. But like, I'm so excited for this because it is going, and it doesn't feel like it's gonna stop.
Yeah, I think I talked about this a little bit like 2 or 3 years ago when I originally read this stuff before they announced they were going to animate it. Mm-hmm. It's the like first like I don't know 2/3 of this final arc are like very kind of like not drawn out in a bad way, but very drawn out. Like, they take their time. And then the last third, it's like they rush to a conclusion. So I'm hoping what we get here is a little more fast-paced up front, where like they don't have to dwell on some of the stuff they dwelled on a lot.
Yeah.
So that we get a little bit more of like a satisfying conclusion. Because I feel like the final fights and stuff like that were a little bit of a letdown in the manga. Because like there's some cool shit that happens that basically immediately just like it's over. And it's like cool. So we got like new forms and stuff, and then it was just done. Because like you get to see pretty much every Soul Reaper's Bankai at the end. Like every captain or every lieutenant or above, basically.
Yeah. It feels like they are going to work with the pacing and make the pacing better, because like this is something I read online. Since you already know the story, it is not going too far into things. Like in episode 2, they do the memorial for the lieutenants, for the first lieutenant. And in the manga, there's like a little bit of a back and forth with Byakuya and somebody else. They don't have that in this episode. They have the memorial service flash by, and they mention some things, but they don't have the little bit of back and forth with Byakuya.
Oh,
so, like,
really?
So they're working. It seems like they are working with the pacing, making sure that it does just stick and it does just go. Because I think the goal is 3 seasons.
It's actually it's technically 2 anime seasons or 4 cores. Which so it's 52 episodes.
Okay.
Broken up into basically 4 parts, so it's like 4 12-episode cores. And they're apparently going to have some breaks, but not that many.
I mean, if it's every 12 episodes as a break or whatever, that's fine. Like for like a couple of weeks or 12, 24. It would probably be like more like 16 episodes. I don't know. 14 I think it's 14 every 14. 14, 28, 40, 42, 56. Yeah. So every 14. It's fine. You know, I won't mind that. Did you like that head math right there?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I'm actually trying to find out where in the manga the Blood War started. 480, it looks like. So I basically went to find out real quick if that first chapter kind of opens the way I think it did. And yep, these two get sent to Earth. They get attacked by all of the things. They get their asses kicked. That's right, and so it doesn't look like in that chapter where that beginning of that first episode happened. He didn't use his Bankai. He did show up and save them, but he also it was just him. It wasn't the whole like group.
Yeah, it wasn't the whole gang. Like they had to embellish it and add the whole gang into it because like it's been 10 years.
Yeah,
like
it's been a decade.
you needed to have all the characters in there right away. But yeah, it's even the second episode was just as good. I'm still blown away by the animation. I feel ya on not wanting to watch. It's not wanting to watch the sub. It's not wanting to watch it on Hulu. Yeah, like more specifically, not wanting to watch it on Hulu on Chromecast because it is just bad on Chromecast.
I don't use Chromecast. It's just like Hulu is just bad at subtitles.
Well, like for me, my biggest problem is they have the black backing. So it's a black. It's not subtitles. It's closed caption basically.
Yeah,
on
and so
Chromecast.
That is Hulu across the board. My version, it's not fully solid black background, but it is like a shaded black background. You can see behind it, but not all the way. But the problem, and I was telling you this in the chat, every time there's text on the screen, the text is at the bottom of the screen. So like this stuff overlaps that. It becomes very hard to read the actual dialogue. But then they translate, which is nice. They translate the text on the screen, but they translate it with the actual dialogue, so it's right above it. And it's constantly moving as the dialogue changes. And it's very jarring and hard to keep track of that stuff because of the way it keeps moving. And sometimes the dialogue moves way too fast and you can't read it all. And other times it's just lingering on the screen for no good reason. Like Hulu's subtitles for everything are absolute garbage. And like I actually like, I like most of the Japanese voices for Bleach. Like that's how I watched it in Japanese originally because I was watching the fan sub back in the day. So like it was like very nostalgic to hear like those voices again, because the last 2 times I watched Bleach, I watched it dubbed, because, well, I watched the end of it dubbed, in like 2013, 2014. It was before we bought the house, but it was after the show ended. And then Erica and I watched it after we bought the house. It was probably like sometime between 2014 and 2016. And we watched it dubbed at that point. So like, I'm fine with both sets of voices, but being that it's only available on Hulu in the US, I'd rather just watch it dubbed and not deal with their shitty subtitles.
Yeah. I can't wait. So,
dude, I can't wait to see the Yamato fight, or Yamato fight, animated. Yeah, thank you. There you go. General Yusai, or however you say that. The head captain of the Soul Reapers. Like, he has a fight fairly early on in the war. It's like basically before the war really gets started. And like, you see in like old Bleach, like when he fights the other 2 captains during the Soul Society invasion arc, and then he has a fight during the Arrancar stuff, that like, he's fucking powerful. Yeah. But like, the shit he does in that fight, it's like, oh, okay.
I honestly thought he died in the Arrancar.
No, he lost his arm, I believe.
Yeah, he did. He definitely lost his arm. I thought he died. Or it seemed like he was dying in that, but he did. Like, it was like one of his more ultimate abilities. He's like, I can't use this that often because it burns me, but I need to use it here. And he used it on Aizen, and it took off like one of his arms. But it also looks like, what was his name? With the long blade. Some shit happened to his arm too, because it looks like he has
blade.
He's part of Kenpachi's group. His Sekai.
Oh, Ikaku. Yeah.
Ikaku, that's his name. Yeah, like something happened to his arm because he's got like some sort of like fucking armor or some shit on his arm. Looks like
I noticed that in the first arm. Yeah, I noticed that in the first episode, and I couldn't remember if something happened or if that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm so excited to watch. Like, this is gonna be a weekly show, subtitled. I'm on top of it. Like, I loved Bleach back in the day. It was my number 1 anime up until a point. I think Death Note took that spot, and now, like, I think My Hero has taken the spot of number 1, but Death Note is number 2. And I've always said that, like, Bleach is probably number 3 with Naruto really close. But like, that's just, I'm a big fan of the shonen stuff. But there's a ton of shonen stuff I've never watched. Like,
yeah, you gotta get into One Piece, man.
I've never watched One Piece. And there's a bunch of just anime I'm trying to get into. In general, I almost watched Digimon Adventure after watching Bleach and Chainsaw Man last week.
So man, I listened to I've talked about it before. I listened to a podcast about Gundam. It's called the Great Gundam Project. That every week they talk about 2 episodes of a Gundam series, and they started at Mobile Suit Gundam, and they've just been working their way up. They're up to SD Gundam right now from the early 2000s. It came out between Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed Destiny. It was that like weird CG one that aired on Cartoon Network. But they always have a backup show, so that they talk about Gundam and then they talk about 2 episodes of a different show. And this season they're talking about Digimon Tamers, the 3rd season. Mm-hmm. And like they occasionally, like both of them just recently watched Adventure 1 and 2. Yeah. And like they keep comparing things to Adventure 1 and 2, and I'm like, man, Adventure had some good moments. Like when fucking Wizardmon like sacrifices himself for Gatomon, and then you find out that Gatomon was Kairi's like Digimon partner, and they just neither of them knew it because Kairi was sick and didn't go to camp. Like that was fucking devastating when you're like 12 years old.
Oh yeah. But like I wanted to watch the new one. Like
because they just did that like retelling of it, and there's like 3 movies too that like literally end their story. Like they all become adults and they stop being able to see their Digimon partners.
Yeah, because that was in like there was the original Digimon had them as teens or has preteens mostly,
and then O2 was like 3 or 4 years later.
It was where most of them were teens, but you had Kairi and TK as like teens with a couple of preteens. or just kids about their age.
No, they were all the same age. So it was like they were all slightly older than what their siblings were in season 1. And then their siblings were like, let's say 16. So they were like 13. And like their whole group were like 13-year-olds.
Yeah. And then you had readers, which honestly, I didn't hate what I watched of that
Wait,
series.
what one?
Or readers? Wasn't that the next one?
Tamers.
Tamers, yeah. Whatever. I didn't hate what I watched of that one. I really liked the idea that it was like in a modern day that like Digimon was the series and the card game.
Yeah.
Like I really fucking loved that idea.
And that's what they're that's the series they're talking about on the podcast right now. It's like, man, I kind of want to go watch Digimon Adventure because it's been on the list to watch the new ones, and like I loved Digimon back in the day. I don't know what happened to them. I had a deck of old school Digimon cards. I think I might still have some somewhere.
I don't know what happened to mine. They just disappeared one day.
Your brother sold them.
No, it was because he never would. Like, he's a dick. He's an absolute dick. He wouldn't do that because that was gifts from my grandparents.
Okay.
Like he wouldn't have done that. But like just one day, I thought about. I'm like, I don't know what happened to my Digimon cards. I don't know where they are. I've never seen. I still have my old original Pokemon cards. Don't have my old Digimon cards. Like, they just got lost either in a move or something. Like, they just got lost or destroyed. And it bums me out because I could have had some great cards. But yeah.
But just to circle back to Bleach real quick. I am just watching that first episode. I am just super excited to like see all this stuff because it's been long enough that like I don't remember every story beat of the Blood War. I remember the major stuff. But it's like I remember that like we get a bunch of history about Ichigo's father. We find out why he is on just regular Earth and he's no longer a Soul Reaper.
Yeah. You learn about his mom and why she was being hunted by the Hollow and shit like that too.
Yeah, and you get more about the Quincy's, and like I said, like you get a lot more. All of like the main Soul Reapers that like are usually part of like the big fights. Like, they're all there, and they're all, like, getting better. Like, Ichigo and Renji go train with, like, the super elite Soul Reapers, to unlock their true Bankais.
Yeah.
So apparently neither of them ever unlocked their true Bankai. You get to see, like, Rukia's Bankai, which is apparently one of the most powerful, from what they say in the show.
From what I've read and what they say, like, yeah, it is the absolute most powerful, so powerful that even if she uses it, she could kill. She could die from just using it.
I forget if it's that it is the most powerful or it is the most powerful ice-based one, which makes it stronger than what's his face's?
Hitsugaya's, which honestly, Hitsugaya's kind of fucking sucks. He just turns into an ice dragon.
He does some cool shit in this though. Fucking Uehara's Bankai is fucking nuts, and you find out. Do you remember in the early series before they go to Soul Society? When everyone is training to go to Soul Society, Chad goes, or no, I'm sorry, it is post that. It is training for, I think for the Arankars, actually. Chad goes to Uehara for training, and he makes Renji train with him, with a Bankai. And when somebody asks him about it, he's like, well, my Bankai, it would not be good for this sort of training. You find out why. His is fucking wild.
Yeah.
So there's some really cool shit that comes up.
This is an arc I've always wanted to read and check out, but like I was like, I don't think it'll be the same reading it. I don't want to read it. I want to watch it. They should just make it a movie. They should just make it something. It's way too much for a movie, but I'm glad it's getting 52 episodes at least.
Yeah. Because that's a good amount that they can. As I said, I hope that they kind of fast track some of the slow stuff in the beginning and give us like a nice sort of fleshed out finale.
So I know you haven't watched it. You've read it. So I just want to like maybe give you an idea of the pacing based on the second episode. At the end of the second episode, they're in Wekamundo, trying to rescue Arankar.
Yeah, which I know that happens fairly quickly also.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea of the pacing, I'm not trying to like spoil things or anything, but like since you've already read it, I'm not too worried about spoiling it.
Did Nell show up?
Nell showed up.
Okay.
And got Ichigo and was like, they're attacking Wakamundo, and so they all went over with Urahara, and Ichigo goes to try to stop them, and he's just encountering the Quincy that's there who just killed the 3 ladies.
Yeah, because the 3 ladies, the one with like the blonde hair and like the half face mask, is in charge. I believe, if I remember correctly. Well, she's the new leader.
She was already kidnapped, and the 3 that come are like her like subordinates.
Right.
Yeah. So she was the highest number that still existed, and so she was the leader. Yeah, something like that. I don't know, but yeah, that just to give you an idea of the pacing. Like that's where we're at the end of the 2nd episode.
Okay. Yeah, I always liked Nell for some reason. Like, her character was just like, she was so stupid and goofy. And then during that one fight with the dude with the weird scythe. No, it wasn't with Grimjaw. It was the guy with the scythe. That was like her, like, he was beneath her initially. And he's the reason that like, she kind of like got depowered. Yeah. But when like, she finally snaps and turns back into like her like full Arrancar self, and like, they flash the 3 on her back. And it's like, oh, she's actually incredibly powerful. She's not just a gross, goofy little like demon kid.
Yeah.
But just because I know you need to get to Resident Evil, what are you thinking of My Hero?
I'm loving this season. Like we didn't get a recap episode.
That's true. Like, I feel like did we get one last year?
We did. It was there was an emergency training session where you had Sun Eater and
right. We talked about this last week. I forgot about it.
Yeah. What's her name? Yeah. They were like the villains or whatever in this little thing. We had a recap last season. We didn't get one this season. It just literally where the anime stopped last season is where it picked up this season.
And it doesn't give you like a recap, but that first episode was a lot of like, hey, here's what's going on now to kind of like refresh your memory of like Shigaraki is now in charge of all of the bad guys, and all his League of Villains is now actually like just all of the bad guys, and
which that was all like done last season, like at the end of last season. But like they did give a little bit of a recap, but it wasn't a Powers recap, which we have gotten every season. Which I'm so happy we didn't get that, and it was just like, just get right into it. Just got right into the action.
Now, are you up to date on it?
Yep. Yeah.
How fucking this is a spoiler for me because I've only actually watched the first episode because that's all that's dubbed right now. How fucking sad was what happened to Twice?
Yo, Twice was my favorite villain. He's literally one of 3 villains that I have a Funko Pop of, and I specifically bought that because I loved Twice. And like for him to have gone off, like he died thinking that this is causing us all. He caused this all, and he kind of did, but didn't. And oh man, I just felt so bad for him.
Yeah, and like Hawks didn't want to kill him either.
No, Hawks didn't want to, and if he had just listened to Hawks, he would be living. He'd be fine.
Yeah, it was really sad.
Dabi had to intercede as well, and that just really screwed everything up.
Yeah, because it was one of those, like, right in that first episode, like, you kind of know something's going to come to a head because, like, Hawks is, like, talking to him a lot and, like, basically says, like, he is now the most powerful member of the League of Villains because he's no longer crazy. I mean, he's crazy, but he's not the same sort of crazy.
Yeah.
So he has full control over his powers to just make unlimited copies of himself. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. You might not have caught this. At the end of the first episode, Miroku, she bursts into the room with the doctor.
Yeah.
Do you know what she said when she burst into the room in Japanese? Like, do you remember?
I can't remember now.
Okay. In the dub, she bursts in and she says, "What's up, Doc?"
Wow. All right, there's going to be some clicking. I don't think that's what she said in the sub.
It's probably not, but like she said that, and that it was very good. I actually rewound it because like I heard it, but I didn't hear it all the way. I'm like, did she just say what I think she did? And I like went back like 30 seconds. I'm like, yeah, no, she definitely just the rabbit hero just said, "What's up, Doc?" All right,
and it's at the
I just lost
end
you.
of.
You there?
Did you still lose me?
You're back now.
Okay, and it's at the end of the first episode. You said.
Yeah, it's literally the very end. Like Moroku is like rushing through the hospital, and she bursts into the room where the scientist is while he's trying to get away. And as she comes through the door, she says, "What's up, Doc?" And then she says something else right after that.
We'll see. I'm actually playing it right now to see what she says.
It was a very silly thing. She's also a very cool character.
She is. She's a badass character. I really liked her. And like, yeah, I hope nothing bad happens to her, except for what's already happened to her.
I hope that they don't. I hope they don't drag the war on for multiple seasons.
I don't think they're gonna.
That's my fear. Like, I'm hoping that this season, the 25 episodes is the full war arc, which should work out okay. Cause like each season is usually 2 arcs, but like this one was so long, I don't think you can reasonably do it in half a season.
Yeah.
But like, there's some cool shit in this one, and like, there's some real stakes. Like there are characters that die or get like basically like permanently like disabled, or at least like there are even some characters that like while they don't get permanently disabled, they definitely get like hurt badly enough that like they cannot keep being a hero the way they were. I don't want to spoil about who it is, but like, you know, this show hasn't exactly had a lot of like high stakes up to this point.
Yeah. It's that, and that's like there have been high stakes in My Hero, but it has been very calm because it's high school students. Yeah. Now we're getting into the high stakes. Friggin' no, she says, "Are you the real one?"
Okay, yeah.
When
she said, "What's up, Doc?" in the dub.
You know, that's a better line. Like, "Are you the real one?" makes sense, but "What's up, Doc?" is a better line.
Yeah, just about the stakes again. Like, you had like Night Eye dies. What was that? 2 seasons ago. And that was like one of the first major deaths. But then you had like Mirio lost his powers, but like we don't know if that's permanent or not, because it's not like an all for one thing. It's Eri's power. So if like Eri ever learns how to control her power, theoretically, like she could give that back. And just like anyone that loses their power to all for one, in theory, if she ever got like good control of that, she should be able to like reverse that too, you would think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am super excited to see some of the shit. Just like Bleach. Like, I personally don't like how the action is drawn in the My Hero manga. I don't know if you've ever looked at it. A lot of the action scenes, especially in this later half of the manga, are very like messy. Like, they're not poorly drawn, but they're messy. It's very hard to like see what's going on unless you like really stare at it and kind of like move it around and stuff like that. So I'm like really excited to see some of this stuff like animated, because like this show is generally pretty well animated.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they use a lot of squares, and I like that. It's pleasing to me.
Yeah, they do, don't they? But
yeah,
man, like Endeavor has some shit, Hawks has some shit, like all your main characters have some shit. There's a very cool like Deku, Bakugo, Todoroki thing, because they are the big 3 now. Like, yeah, there's some good shit. There's some surprises. There's some sadness. It's going to be a wild 25 episodes. Yeah.
I'm just, it's all the animation or all the anime and shit that's going on right now is fantastic.
Yeah. Including the new Mobile Suit Gundam. First Mobile Suit Gundam since 2015 for series. There have been a few movies. It's The Witch from Mercury, which I know you don't dislike Gundam, but it's also not a thing that you necessarily like keep up with.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a new series. Like, I do like Gundam. I've never just sat down to watch it. I even bought a friggin' Gundam figure at Comic-Con.
That's true.
I I regret the purchase, not because it was a bad purchase, but because they had an Ultraman that cost a little bit more that I should have bought. I wanted instead.
Whoops.
But I think I've told this story.
You did. You told it when we talked about
yeah.
New York Comic Con.
But I would much rather have the Ultraman. But I'm happy with the Gundam. I just wish I had the Ultraman.
Yeah. So I would say since it's just starting, it's technically 4 episodes. It's an episode 0, a prologue, and then 3. Like the 3rd episode came out this week. I think you should try and watch this. It's a new timeline, so new universe, not connected to the old stuff. It has the first female protagonist of a Gundam series. So not including like some of the movies and other like media, but like the first TV series with the main character is a female pilot. And it's got a very different feel. It's less war is bad and like an ongoing war between like space and Earth. And more capitalism and corporations are bad. Yeah. But so it's set up where Gundams are a different, like they normally are. Like there is a thing about Gundams that makes them very dangerous, and they have been outlawed. This main character appears to be piloting a Gundam. It fucking looks just like a Gundam. Like it's the blue, white, red, yellow, like classic Gundam color scheme.
Yeah. The Gundam that we all know as Gundam Wing or Gundam or whatever. Yeah.
It has the same color scheme as the RX-78 and the Wing Gundam and the Zero and like every other main Gundam. But so she is from Mercury, and her mom apparently built this suit and works for a company that is like the bottom of the rung. But somehow she manages to get into this like school for like pilots and other sort of like, it's basically UA but for like the Gundam universe. And they apparently settle all of their beef with each other with fucking Gundam battles.
But Gundams are banned and
I'm sorry. They settle all of their beef with mobile suit battles. Okay. Including like whoever and the president of like the top company that kind of sets all the rules, apparently declared whoever is the top duelist will marry his daughter. So that's its own like weirdness in the show.
Do they have the heart of the robots?
Maybe, because like the new girl shows up and just fucking wrecks like the top guy twice. Okay. So, but like so far, like 3 episodes in, it's cool, and it's one of those. If you watch the prologue, you're gonna know more. Like you're gonna know who the main character is and like what's going on in like the back end more so than if you just start with episode 1, because episode 0 takes place like 12 years prior to episode 1. Yeah. But like it's so far it's pretty cool. I would definitely say like if you want like another show to watch, give it a shot. Since it's one of those like if you catch up on the 3 that are out, it becomes just weekly then, and it's 20 minutes a week's not too bad. Animation's really good. The Gundams all look really cool. Well, the mobile suits. I'm being that guy. The mobile suits all look really cool. The Gundam in this, it's the Ariel, I believe is the name of it. It has the color scheme, but it's got like more like modern cool shit. Like it's got like these like drone attachment things that can form into different stuff. So like they'll form into a shield, and then they'll form into like the gun, and then they can like break apart and like attack on their own and stuff. So just cool big robot shit. Nice. And I'm looking forward to see where it goes, because it's a Gundam show, so it's definitely not going to be about like kids in this high school like having duels the whole time. And they've already started setting up the fact that like corporations are bad, capitalism is bad, sort of thing for the society. And it still has the like space versus Earth thing where like the people in space look down on the people on Earth and vice versa and all that stuff, but there's not like an active war. Like in this school, there are people from Earth and from space. So yeah, interesting so far. But that's our anime hour.
Pretty much. There's a lot of anime to talk about. New, old, new.
I guess it was like it was our anime like 40 minutes. We started. Yeah, about 40 minutes of anime. But I don't have a ton to say about this, but we did go see Halloween Ends.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Halloween ended, I guess.
It's over. No more Halloween. You know when they say this is Halloween in Nightmare Before Christmas?
No.
It's not Halloween anymore. It's no more Halloween.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This is not Halloween.
Okay, that I understand. I don't get the "This is Halloween" reference.
It's literally a song in the movie. I know you've never seen it, but it's literally. Have you played Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, but I skipped that level.
You can't.
I don't remember which game that's in, but I actually did not play the Nightmare Before Christmas level. I never got that far. I think it's Kingdom Hearts 2.
It's like literally the main theme of the song. Dun, 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 dun,
Look,
dun,
I'm
dun,
fucking
dun,
with you.
dun,
I do know that song.
dun,
It
dun,
sucks.
dun, dun, dun,
It sucks like that whole movie sucks. But yeah, so Halloween Ends. It's the finale of this reboot trilogy of Halloween, where it's a direct sequel of the 1978 Halloween, foregoing every other Halloween that happened after it.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Lee Curtis returns as Laurie, who is no longer the sister of Michael Myers, which was established in Halloween 2. In this one, the first one, just Halloween from 2018, it starts out, she's kind of she's an alcoholic, she's a recluse, she's basically been like a prepper all this time because she thinks Michael's gonna come back at some point, but she had a daughter, and her daughter has a daughter, and Michael does come back. And then there's a sequel that takes place immediately after that. Might have been a year later. I don't remember exactly where the sequel happens, but there's a sequel, and then there's this one. And at the end of the last one, Michael was seemingly stopped, but very much like any of these other Halloween movies where he's Michael, he's never really stopped. This one though there wasn't really any Michael in it. Mm-hmm. They almost set this up as a completely different movie. It was a solid sort of psychological thriller, I guess, if it was its own standalone film. But being that it was the end of a trilogy that is supposed to be the end of this series, it did not work.
Yeah.
Which was a bummer. Hang on one second. Sorry. So the movie basically focuses on Jamie Lee Curtis's granddaughter, who lives with her now because her mother's dead. And then this boy who accidentally murdered a child. He was babysitting this little asshole kid. The asshole kid did a thing. The babysitter kid got locked in a room, and while trying to get out of the room, had to break the door down. And the little asshole kid was being a little asshole, standing on the other side of the door, laughing and calling him names. And, the kid didn't purposely hit him with the door, but when he kicked the door open, the door swung open, hits the kid in the face, and then knocks him over the banister, and he falls, 3 floors to, the living room, and, dies very much. And it just so happens that, his parents were walking in when it happened. So, bad timing. But, the kid basically becomes, an outcast in the city, and, he seems okay for most of it. But then, shit happens, and it gets weird, and a little supernaturally in a weird way that, Michael is never, other than it, once you get to Halloween 6, they really make Michael, supernatural. But, before that, it's never really, explained or delve into, how he keeps surviving things, being shot and everything like that. And they do just act like he is a man for most of it. But this one makes it seem like maybe he's not just a man. And yeah, it was mediocre the whole way through. And then the last 10 the last 10 minutes is where Michael shows up again, and it's a little tense, and it has a mostly satisfying ending. Mostly, but it's not what I would have wanted for the end of this trilogy or the end of this series if they do never make another one, which I doubt.
They'll make another one. They'll definitely make another one. They'll reboot it again. Rob Zombie will reboot his reboot again.
I mean, you never know. And that first reboot that he did was pretty good. This trilogy was the first one of of that main continuity basically. Mm-hmm. Since 2001, 2002 was Halloween Resurrection with Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes, jeez.
Yeah, it was the one where Jamie Lee Curtis was dead in that one. She was murdered at the beginning of it by by Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And then it fast forwards to like because early 2000s, it was a reality show. A bunch of college kids had to spend the night in the haunted Myers house on Halloween.
Of course.
Yeah, man. I really do love the Halloween series. It might be like my favorite like stupid like horror movie series, like more so than like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Just because of how just ridiculously convoluted the timeline is. Like you have 1 and 2, and then 3 is completely disconnected because it was supposed to be an anthology to begin with. And then they circle back to like the Michael Myers stuff with 4, but like Jamie Lee Curtis didn't want to do it anymore, so they're just like, okay, well here's this small child that is the orphaned daughter of Jamie Lee Curtis who died off screen in a car accident, not related to Michael at all. Yeah. And then like from there, it's just like she has this weird psychic connection to Michael. And then, like, she gets abducted 2 movies later, or the next movie she gets abducted, and then, like, a decade passes, and she gets impregnated by a cult. And you find out that this cult is the reason that Michael keeps, like, seemingly coming back from... Like, it gets so fucking weird. And then all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, you know what? None of this worked, so we're just going to do Halloween H2O 20 years later. We're going to bring Jamie Lee Curtis back and pretend that 1 and 2 happened. Everything after that didn't. And then they do that for a little bit. And then jump to 2018, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to redo it all again, but we're just going to pretend that 1 happened and nothing else happened. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, y'all have no fucking clue where you want to go.
It's literally the dumbest series ever. Seriously.
But it's great. I love it. But
yeah, like I'm not saying that in like a negative sense. It's just so dumb though.
Like the Halloween franchise is the X-Men of like the horror movie genre.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like I get as much like pleasure out of like talking to people about Jesus, my throat is just excuse me. I have like that little tickle in the back of my throat. I get as much like pleasure out of like explaining the Halloween franchise to people that have never seen it as I do about trying to explain X-Men to somebody that has never read X-Men, and just like that look of just like utter like really? Like that really? It's just great. I love it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't love Halloween Ends. Like, it was fine. It was a fine movie. It was, like I said, it was just not a good way to end this trilogy.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. A lot of people are just disappointed with this movie as, like, an ending.
Now, do you want to talk about She-Hulk at all, or do you want to maybe save that for next week so that you can go play some Resident Evil?
Let's just go for it. Let's just do it all now. We're here.
Okay.
I'm not gonna have as much to say next week about it as I do this week. So it's like a week old already at this point. Let's just do it. We get into it. She-Hulk, guys. Cobb finally caught up, because weren't you a few episodes behind at one point?
I was 1 extra episode behind from vacation, but I've been caught up most of the time.
Yeah. So we haven't really talked about it. We normally talk about the TV shows like for the first week or two and then don't. But like we didn't really talk about it much at all. Overall, I thought the series was fantastic. It was funny. It didn't need to have the action. It wasn't very action-packed or anything like that. It was just funny. It was silly. It was goofy. It was over-the-top camp, which is what they were going for and worked so well for the show. Yeah, and
it really was a legal comedy more than a superhero show, which was fun. Yeah. They leaned into the She-Hulk fourth wall breaking, which like she hasn't really done in comics in a long time.
But that
to
is
my
something
knowledge.
that she used to do in the comics is break the fourth wall?
Yeah, like 100%.
I had no idea. I just thought that was something that they decided for writing purposes to get you into her head, to make you know what she was thinking.
No, and even like that end, that final episode of her literally like hopping out and going to like Marvel Studios to like argue with people. Yeah. That is 100% the sort of thing that would happen in like an old school She-Hulk comic where like she would like bust out of the comic and go like to Stan Lee's office and argue with him at the Marvel Comics offices. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if that legitimately happened at some point. But like more modern She-Hulk stuff like has definitely leaned away from that. There will be occasional like talking to the reader bits, but like not like in the Deadpool way.
Yeah.
Where like Deadpool knows he's a comic book character and depending on the writer will like talk to the reader like that. But yeah, like I agree. Like they did such a good job with this. Yeah. Tatiana Maslany is one of the best actresses.
She's amazing.
Of this generation.
She was honestly probably the best choice for this role.
Yeah, she's she is incredibly charming and can definitely pull off like a ton of different vibes. Like the scene from the finale where she's in like the room with Kevin, which was so stupid but funny.
I will say it.
that bit went on too long, but it was a very funny bit.
So like my biggest complaint for the show would be that bit, like, as well done as it was and worth it. This series is now the shortest season finale of any Marvel show. And 5 minutes of it was them talking in that room. And then at the end of that Kevin sequence, everything was resolved. There wasn't, like, you didn't get to watch the resolution. You didn't get to watch the rewrite. And that's my my only complaint is, like, I wish we got to see the rewrite and not just, oh, we rewrote it. Here's what it is. Because it didn't make sense for Murdoch to be there. It didn't make sense for Daredevil to show back up. Like, it just, like they should have done the rewrite from a certain point. Just to give us that little glimpse of what actually happened. That wasn't superhero-y.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I feel like they needed one more episode. Because that whole episode felt rushed also. Yeah,
they should have ended it at the end of the rewrite and given us a whole new finale.
Yeah, like that should have been the end of the episode and then have one more episode where, like, basically maybe redo, like, the latter half of that episode.
Yeah.
Cause like a lot, it just felt very rushed. And
cause like at this point, prior to the rewrite, they resolved the blood issue and everything. Now it's like, did they resolve the blood issue? Like, is that actually what his goal was? Or is there a different reason? Like, we know he's Hulk King, like they're keeping that, but like, why did he want her blood? Like, are they sticking with that rule, with that that or not? Like the whole, I feel like the Banner stuff, they could have they didn't need to wrap up why Banner was off-world the entire time.
But like, I feel like that whole thing, like there is not a movie that's going to explain that. So like, if they didn't wrap it up there, they should have nixed it from the beginning. But then it's like, all right, well, why wasn't Bruce around at all to like help her during this stuff? Because like he easily could have been, but it's like, oh nope, he was off planet and unavailable.
And the fact that he has a son who I'm guessing should probably only be about 10 to 12 years old at this point. Looks like he's 20 or older. Scar is a comic book character. Did something happened, and I don't know what, but he did age rapidly and is like a full grown, like, adult Hulk now. But he's not part human. He is part, he's from Sakaar. Well, I knew he was part Sakarian or whatever race he would be. But just like, it was like, man, he aged fast. And that, like,
but there is a reason for that. Like in the comics at least, like they do explain why he was basically an adult in the comics, because like his mother died while he was still in the womb.
Yeah.
From the I forget exactly how she died, because it wasn't the explosion that killed her, but it was something related to it. But then like somehow like the planet kept him alive or something weird. I forget. Hulk shit's weird. Yeah. But like that, I thought that was like a neat little Easter egg thing at the end. I just wish they would give us more of like Bruce as Hulk and like maybe give us like a more savage Hulk storyline or a proper Planet Hulk storyline.
Give us a Hulk storyline. Give us a Hulk show and like make it turn into like some sort of like savage Hulk thing, or give us the backstory of how Scar came to be in a Hulk show, or not even a show. Give us a 55-minute special, something like that. Like give us a werewolf or whatever it was, Night by Werewolf or whatever it was called.
I did see that a season 2 is in development.
Yeah, and hopefully they keep it with the legal drama or legal comedy and not turn it into like a superhero show.
Yeah, I'm wondering if she moves to New York. It
depends. Like, it really depends on what happens with this rewrite. Like, that's the thing. Like, we got, it was rewritten, but, like, is because of the rewrite, does she then, or because of the outcome, does she get her job back, or does she stay in LA? I think she's going to stay.
Right, because the job thing was pre that. So, yeah.
Yeah, like, we don't know if she gets to get her job back, or if she gets fired. If she goes to New York, then maybe we'll see her in not Punisher. In Daredevil. Maybe that's when we'll find out if she moves to New York or not. Is in Daredevil, because that should be casting, or at least filming soon, I think.
No, I think it's it's going to film next year, and it's going to come out sometime in 2024.
Yeah. So I think that's probably going to come out before the next season of She-Hulk, is really what I'm saying. Unless they greenlight that, write that, and get that out immediately. But yeah, it's just, I loved the series as a whole. It was great. Even the social commentary that they've had on a lot of the things. Like, I know there are a lot of people out there, mostly men, who did not like the show because it was a woman lead, did not like the show because it was too campy and not serious enough, and did not like the show because it was displaying what women have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. That I thought, it worked so well, and it was such a beautifully well-done show that, we need that, and people need to understand, this is the most real world Marvel has ever gotten in the MCU, and it's about a fucking green giant lady.
Yeah, and, I enjoyed everything except for, the little bit too, like we said, a little too rushed, and a little too much of, that, fourth wall breaking gag that drug on a little too far.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I just wish they would have done it a little tighter.
I will say, I absolutely loved the final line of the season in the credits, credit reel, where, fuck, why am I not remembering his name? What's his name? Comes from Carmitage. Wong comes from Carmitage.
Oh, yeah.
To pick up, Abomination. He's like, did you get sucked up into another series? And it was obviously because, they were making, he was watching the Sopranos, or making, he watches a lot of TV, but no, it was also, that meta joke of, you're late because you're in another series.
I mean, he's been in, and he's just all over the place. He was in Doctor Strange, he was in Spider-Man, he was in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, this is the phase of Wong, man. He's been in everything.
He's the Sorcerer Supreme.
He is. I loved that line so much.
And frankly, I agree with the internet. There needs to be a Wong and Madison spinoff.
55 minutes of Wong and Madison just watching TV talk. Give us a podcast of Wong and Madison talking about their TV shows. Huh? In character, obviously, yeah. Talking about TV shows.
But this isn't not She-Hulk related. Have you watched Andor at all yet?
I have not. I was told when I was talking to somebody a couple weeks ago about it, and I was like, I haven't watched Andor yet, and they're like, you made the good choice watching She-Hulk and not Andor. And they're like, they weren't saying that Andor's bad. It's it's got a slow burn that's going to be a much better binge than it would be a week to week.
Right. Because I have heard from multiple people that, well, not people I know, because no one I know really cares about Star Wars. But a ton of podcasts where people are kind of hit or miss on Star Wars.
Yeah.
Say that show is fantastic, and the pacing is great, and it's doing that thing that you have specifically complained about, where everything is always about the Skywalkers, and this has the nods and winks in the background, but it's very much its own story. About
I mean, it has
Andor.
to be because
no, but you could constantly have scenes where characters from the rest of the series show up and.
Who the fuck knew that Obi-Wan was going to be about protecting Leia? Fucking Jesus Christ. And Luke. Luke's final scene didn't have to be in that fucking series. Didn't have to be. They didn't need Luke in that series at all. Jesus Christ.
But apparently Andor is really good, and I do need to get on to that one.
That is next on the list. I'll probably watch it during my Thursday lunch breaks now, since I don't have She-Hulk. Watch 1 or 2 episodes a week, something like that.
Yeah, and they're apparently they're all either standalone or 2-parters, and it's every episode, after every little arc, there is a time skip, because it's supposed to cover there's 2 seasons, and the 2 seasons cover like a multi-year gap from like a certain point up to Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see how they do that. But I think we can probably wrap it up there.
Yeah, we can end it there. That
We got a little later, and you have Resident Evil to go play.
I'll be done by midnight.
You can try. But
I've only got chapter 4 and 5 and 6 left.
okay, so yeah, you might.
Yeah, so there are only 3 parts, and generally each part took me 20 to 30 minutes. So I'm guessing about 2 to 3 hours.
All right. Well, in that case, next week we have our book club, which is going to be Tremors, the 1990 Kevin Bacon film.
Was it really the 90s?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought it would have been the 80s.
I believe it is like 1990 exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 1990. But yeah, so next week, Tremors is our book club. And then other than that, if you would like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us on patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, a bunch of other places. Rate us, review us, subscribe. Those things all help a whole bunch. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Twitter and Instagram. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo. And you can always send us emails to social@one-quest.com. And then the rest of this week and next week, you can catch Richie on his Twitch channel, which is
twitch.tv/b_walnuts.
See him play the rest of Resident Evil.
Please come hang out this weekend, because I'll be playing Resident Evil 6. Please. Please. Please.
But other than that, we'll be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yas.